Nimrod Coven. I'm here to do a read that really feels like it's an extension of the download that came in last night around this very significant transit that we're moving through, Pluto in Capricorn. It's tying up events that occurred way back in 2008. This is a very significant cycle that we're closing here of over 15 years. So there's a lot that's going to be coming back around the bend at this time. There's a lot coming up. We did have Pluto shift into Capricorn on September 1st, and we're going to be journeying through Pluto's terrain, which is the subterranean realm, until we reach November 19th, at which point Pluto firmly goes into Aquarius until 2043. We got quite a stint of moving into that more expansive, evolutionary kind of energy. But right now, it's about doing the work, and it's about being adaptable while at the same time being stoic, understanding what needs to be done in order to move forward. I really wanted to dive more into this, though, because I know a lot of people are just in a place of questioning. They don't know which way to go or the best way to move forward or what steps they even need to take. And I get these questions come up a lot in the comments, and I like to answer those questions to the best of my ability by getting the memo from Spirit. So we're going to open up the space for some of those answers to come through. But before we start that, I think I just want to take an opportunity to just bring in very briefly a little setting of the tone of the space of the room. So I'm going to bring in a little clearing Reiki, and then we're going to just do a real mini intentional burn with bay leaf to not only purify and cleanse, but also invite in clarity and help to align us with gifts of empowerment as we move through this terrain. If you do not wish to receive the Reiki, simply say no thank you, and you don't have to worry, you won't take it on. It's only for those who are ready and willing to receive it. So the energy I'm bringing in with the Reiki is to support you in moving through Scorpio's house, support you in moving through that terrain, how to feel empowered as you're moving through these stages of transformation. Understand we're all going through it collectively, so the more that we can really show up and be focused as we're moving through this territory, and view it for the wild gifts that it has on offer instead of just only looking at it from a fear-based perspective. Slanting it a bit. This is why I'm bringing in the quest energy so much here. This is why I started down that track with this channel. I really wanted to invoke the adventurer in people because that's what's needed at this time in order to advance. And when I'm talking about advancement, I'm not talking about superficial things. I'm not talking about status. I'm not talking about accolades. I'm not talking about fancy cars and the things that money can buy. I'm talking about advancing in a way where we all experience the upliftment as a global community, where there can be a new way forward. It's going to take a lot of heart and a lot of courage and a lot of fortitude, a lot of strength and a lot of following through. And that is what Pluto in Capricorn is here to teach us. It's coming as both a teacher and a challenger. And so we'll get into that. We're going to discover all of this. We're going to find the keys that we need to sort of turn the ignition, so to speak, and get this chariot moving forward through this subterranean realm as we move through this initiatory process as a collective. But first, I wanted to call in Reiki to support that. So 4:44 on the clock, right on time. There's a lot that's coming in perfect timing at this time. So if you are ready to receive this, I'm using my trusty selenite wand here. Selenite is wonderful for clearing all of the chakra centers. So I'm just going to begin with that first. I'm just clearing your chakra centers. Just clearing out the auric field. kind of like work our way from the outside in and make sure that we're just letting anything that came into this space with us fall away. Take some deep breaths comfortably. Just do what feels natural to you. And I'm getting some of those edges to the auric field that are outside of the peripheral vision to attend to clearing out those blind spots we may have around what needs to be transformed or how we should go about doing that. And so I hope in some way to be able to be a connecting point to get that message from spirit that will give the clarity that's needed for all of you to move forward. And I will be bringing in something for the individual signs too, getting very specific for your sun sign collectives, what specific things you might want to focus on during this cycle, right? So we'll kick off some personal reads. But this week I feel so much more in tune with doing like a collective energy read this week. It feels more in alignment with the energy, right? So again, call that in. To span across all directions of time and space. Past, present, and future. Quantum field stuff, time-bending stuff. Wizard-ish, as we like to call it around these parts. Yes, we're also going to amplify that frequency just a little bit. Let's just amplify it a little bit. We could use all the extra juju we can get, man. And I'm going to call in some emotional support through the process so you can be informed by your emotions, but not be swept at sea by what's rising up in you. Some of it may be activating as you move through this process. You're being taught how to respond to what's coming at you instead of being reactive. Once you learn how to respond to situations, you are able to find pathways through where there once were obstacles or blocks. So it's an important part of alchemy. Okay, and let's go ahead and just ward it all. A little protection along the way. And I'll just send just a little smoothing there and get some of the cloudy energy pulled away. Get some of that hanger on energy cleared. And just smoothing and soothing all the rough edges. Just releasing it all, letting it all fall to the ground and be absorbed in the earth energy. And just opening things up, giving you more breathing room, more expansion, okay? More room to grow. Just clearing out some of the blocking energy so you can feel like There's more room for me to reach out into, to step into, more room for me to be. Okay. And there's the birds flying south. So yes, opening up for transformation, just being willing. Even if you say that to yourself, I am willing to transform, it can set things in motion. So with this bay leaf, I want you to think of the one block you feel is really preventing you from having some sense of forward motion, progress, upliftment, enrichment, empowerment in your life. One thing, one block, okay? And I want you to take a moment to put that block into this bay leaf. Bay leaf is a wonderful plant ally to work with. Bay leaf not only is cleansing and banishing, it's wonderful for smoke cleansing. And if you've been dealing with any kind of material challenges as far as doors of opportunity or financial issues, anything along those lines, anything about your home base, your security, your bank accounts, things of this nature, very helpful in those cases. Also very helpful in cases where you might be sort of in a crossed kind of condition, or if you're somebody who does a lot of alchemy work, this can be like just residual energies hanging on from old workings you've done. You know, it's a good way to just completely clear out the energy. But what I love about it is it also invites in a little good luck. It invites in some blessing, okay? So go ahead and just focus your attention on this bay leaf and plant that seed of this block that you want transformed so that you can be open to the blessings that want to come in and your road can open before you. And we're going to release it to the transformational fire. And as we do that, I'm bringing a little hawk medicine here. I'll also do some cleansing for you. Just cleansing away those obstacles on your path. Cleansing away the obstacles to you receiving the messages that you need to receive, so you can have clarity of vision around your next steps. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's clear away the confusion and invite in the synchronicities, the messages from spirit, the higher perspective that's needed so we can move forward in strength and power and unification, no longer feeling divided within ourselves or with others who are part of our soul family. And for new soulmates to join us along the way, those who share the vision, those who wish to grow the dream that we wish to bring into being. Often that's why soulmates come in. You share a dream, you share a common vision, you're meant to root it together. So this is also to guide you to helpful people that can root the vision that wants to come through you, through the activation of your power. And let's bring in also a little bit of blessing energy from Great Spirit to help you through this initiation into the 8th house mysteries, Pluto's domain, and to find sources of light and nourishment within the dark as you find the courage to face what you fear most and recognize And on the other side is everything you ever wanted. And the reason why you feel the fear is because you know this in your bones. You know how great the opportunity is on offer if you just call back all your power now. And that's what inspired this download. I got this memo that came in, and it came in so strongly. And the memo was to call back all your power now. So affirm this to yourself now in this moment. Offer it up to that ally, bay leaf, to help align you with this energy state. I now call back all my power. I call back all my power now. I call my power back from the past. I call my power back from my roots. I call my power back on behalf of my bloodline. I call my power back in all directions of time and space, in all dimensions. I call my power back now to awaken the power of the Creator within me. It is so. All right, let's do this. Let's dive into a little read. I really wanted to bring that in though for you all. We'll do more of that. We'll do more of that, okay? I'm going to be bringing in a lot more of that action here. We'll do some attunement sessions, attuning to the frequency sessions. All right, so first I wanted to start out with my mixed oracle deck that I'm really enjoying working with right now. I have the Halloween Oracle, and I have the Sacred Rebels Oracle. And the Sacred Rebels Oracle really reminds me of that Aquarian energy. And of course, the Halloween Oracle is perfect for Pluto's domain. So I want to begin by sort of opening this up so we can really understand what is this challenge that Pluto is putting before us. There is an opportunity to head through a gateway of initiation. It promises rebirth. On the other side is a gift of empowerment. We'll look at that too, but that will come at the end. First, we need to see where we're at right now. We need to understand this challenge that we're taking on, whether we do so willingly or whether we get drugged a long, hard mile, okay? Some of us already got the road rash to prove that, and we don't really need any more of that, okay? It's up to you how you move through an initiation. You can do it kicking and screaming, or you can, you know, be stoic about it. I do recommend you get familiar with Marcus Aurelius and just sort of take in some perspective about Stoicism. I really do feel Generation Xers have this on lock. We know how to kind of take one on the chin. And it is one of those things where there's not really a lot of time for people to feel sorry for themselves in this climate. There just isn't. You know, we all go through stuff. We all face really severe challenges. We all go through tragedies in our lives. And we all know collectively, we've all gone through a lot, especially since 2020. And now is the time where we don't have to wait for 2020 vision. We can understand this. We can understand this as a connecting point right here, right now, and let that be where we build from. Okay, so we're really looking at what is this challenge that Pluto is issuing to all of us. And this is a collective read. So it don't matter your sign, don't matter the house, don't matter the descendant sign, or even what time you find this, okay? When you find it, it's right on time. Right? All of my reads on the channel are like that. They're timeless, okay? There's a lot of reads I'm noticing that I did last year. They're looping back around now. Like there's continuation points of the storyline. So you might want to do a little investigating and see what you can find. The road to redemption is a big one. And there's one about Hey ho, let's go to the big top. That's another one. Those themes are really coming around. There's also an Into the Dragon download. It's tying in, it's significant, especially with what we're moving through. So, what is Pluto's challenge for us? What is the challenge? What is the challenge we are facing with this initiatory gateway? What is the challenge we are facing with this initiatory gateway? See the basis of the matter here. Trick or treat, mischief and play. You see, it's all about how you work with the energy. I mean, you can be scared. You can move from that place of being afraid of the boogeyman or believing that false sources of power really do have the ability to control you, or you can dive into the delicious side of the eighth house and that Scorpio energy, where you get into the deliciousness of actually working with the shadow material in a more creative, constructive way. It can make you an adventurer. It can make you a rebel. It can make you thumb your nose at fate and really view it as a challenge to rise to, because there's something so rewarding on offer on the other side of that. And plus, it just makes a good, storyline. It makes a good plot. When you look back at your life and you want to tell the youngins what your life was about, do you want to talk about all the times that you were too afraid to sort of face something squarely, to see it through? There's a way that you can do this where you sort of laugh at it for the false flag that it is. This is like the false flag of fear. And I think we also see this on the world stage and the way it plays out with all the fear mongering and the propaganda and everything that's programmed to make us feel like the boogeyman has some great power. But the reality is, it's all just smoke and mirrors. It's all just a show that's being put on. And even these reflections that come to you during this time, these things that are holding you back, the things that you're afraid of, they're also like these masks that are worn that are concealing the true nature of who you are, the true power that you do hold, what you are here to do. So it is a bit like, boo, you know what I mean? Boo, hi, remember me? I'm still here. Some of these are things that you haven't wanted to look at. And so they've been sort of running amok in your life. They've taken on a life of their own. Sometimes when we don't address our emotions, it's like they end up being almost the spirit of the thing. And they can cause mischief and havoc in our lives because they're running the storyline, they're running the narrative without us even realizing it. So this is about understanding where there's distortions in perception, where there's distortions you're seeing in the reflection have something to do with the distortions in a certain reflection you have of yourself. And could it be a projection that you took on somebody else's reflection in regard to you? Certainly. But this is what you're having to sort through. There's nothing to fear but fear itself. Fear is something that holds most of us back. But it's really completely alleviated once you just simply face it squarely. It's like that moment in Scooby-Doo at the end where they pull the mask off of the big, mysterious monster, and they find out, it was just that effing guy the whole time. You know what I'm saying? It's often not all is cracked up to be. So there's something about, sort of like, be a little tongue-in-cheek, get a little brave. And if you have to like mock up that bravery, if you have to create a character, a brave character that you're going to sort of like embody as you move through this, if you need to get playful with it, if you need to view it as a quest, if you need to bring in a little bit of that imagination play space into it, it helps. because you're able to grok those energies of those different heroes from those storylines that inspired you as a child. And it also can tap you into that sense of wonder and enthusiasm you had as a kid, where you felt like, the world's my oyster. I got everything ahead of me. Anything's possible, you know? You were all fresh-faced and optimistic, you know? You didn't have any concern about daring to dream. You had more daring. You were willing to do stuff as a kid that you wouldn't dream of doing now, because you get too sort of locked into what's considered safe or acceptable, okay? So we also have to think of Pluto energy as not just this energy about moving through heavy stuff and the shadow stuff, but also what's been kept in the shadow that you're actually meant to like pull out of the closet and bring it into the light and be like, yeah, this is me too. This is me too. So it can be an inner revolution that will completely evolutionize your life as well. So stop looking at it just as the mean and heavy aspect. Is it mean and heavy? Yeah, some parts of it are. That's why you need to be stoic about it. But there is a lot of richness on offer there too. And the kind that really counts, okay? So let's see. Tell us more about this. So we know there's going to be some mischief in play as well, okay? So do expect, you know, those old ghosts. And those could be the ghosts of regrets. You know, they could be the ghosts of people that you dealt with before, things you thought you laid to rest. Yeah, it's all going to come back up now. You just may be greeted by some apparitions of the past, present, and future. You may be getting some visions. You may walk down the street. You may have an encounter with your future self in the form of a stranger that's come on your path. You may have an encounter with your former self and go, wow, that provides a powerful point of reflection. I don't often look at that. I remember where it was back there. Look at where I am now. Okay, so there's something about this too. There's going to be some mischief and play coming in our daily experiences, in our environment. And if you can remember when that comes up, to have a curiosity about it, you know, to see it as a little bit of mischief and play, a little bit of smoke and mirrors. It's like old Scratch, you know, it's like playing cards, you know, doing some magic tricks. Are you going to buy into the deception, or are you going to see what's really being offered there? Because if you can see through the illusion of it, if you can recognize it, call it out, go, I see it right there. That's a projection. Somebody says something to you, dings something in you. It stirs up an old insecurity, or stirs up an old fear, or makes you feel reactive. You're like, wait a minute, there's a key here. There's a key here. This is a projection. Is it true for me now? Do I really buy into this now? If I'm not buying into it now, then I wouldn't be reactive. So can I rebuke that in this moment right now and say, I rebuke this distortion of my potential, of what's real for me, right? There's something here to look at, right? So be aware, there is the trickster energy is front and center. Do expect some tricky stuff. Do expect some tricky terrain. Do expect some glamour, some smoke and mirrors. Do expect some sleight of hand. But you'll know how to call it out if you are focused. And if you stay in a place of responding and not reacting, you'll be very clear. Anytime you feel like popping off, or anytime you feel like, getting your lick back or anything like that, okay, you know you're already being reactive. You're already being affected by the projection, which means you entered into energetic agreement with the distortion of darkness. And that's how it starts to wreak havoc in your life, okay? So this is you recognizing, no, I get to decide what I choose to enter into energetic agreement with. And that's my responsibility. That's one step of self-mastery that you will learn. Woo! Through this cycle. And with that, a whole bunch of stuff landed on the floor down in a Pluto's terrain there, okay? And then we have one card that remained on the table. It's a crossing influence. and it's a Sacred Rebels card. So that'll be interesting to see what this is. But first, let's see what this subterranean matter is. Yeah, here's the thing. You have yet to release certain allegiances that you need to, in order to come into alignment with those who can actually be architectures of this future you want to build for yourself. And not just for you, it's something that will have a ripple effect for others too. But this is what you're struggling with. This can be community that you're connected to. This can be an allegiance to an ideal you have. This can be an allegiance to some BS, some belief system, some belief you have about a situation or a position you have that keeps you stuck in this place where you're down in the subterranean realm. You don't get to move out of this difficult territory. The sooner that we can actually take the steps as outlined, that we can face the challenges and move through the fear, the sooner you get free of all this stuff. You don't have to carry it forward with you. But right now, you have loyalty to something that you should not be loyal to anymore. This can be an old identity. This can be your old spiritual beliefs. This can be a relationship. This can be anything. And the thing is not to get reactive with it as you're releasing this, but to find just a place of acceptance and wisdom in the release, where it's not about attack. It's not about generating any further destructive energies. It's just a complete allowing, okay? So this is the other thing. You're letting too many other people call the shots about how you move, and you can't do this. You have to follow your own rhythm. And that may mean that you're dancing to the beat of your own drum. And there may be people around you think, wow, you don't know how to dance at all. You're completely, off time there. And you're like, no, you're just not on this timeline. Okay. It's sort of like you're being called to activate the change. And maybe you're the first one who's activating the change. You're breaking from the norm and you're doing something different within your family, within your social group, in your relationship. There's something that has disrupted the status quo here, and it's throwing things off rhythm. It may seem like that. People are like stepping on each other's toes. They're bumping into each other as they're dancing. They're rubbing up against the wrong person on the dance floor. They're getting a drink in their face. It's like, it's one of those things where it's going to cause missteps. Initially, it's okay. We're all figuring it out. All right. So you just got to trust your own rhythm. You will face opposition. Okay. You need to understand this because you have a certain level of vision or insight. And for a lot of you, it's because you've already hopped the timeline. You've already got the time. You got the call. You're like, okay, rise and shine. I'm here to do it. And you're leading the charge. And the reason why you're experiencing such friction and you're having problems with the people in your life is it's like you're on a different time. You're like, look at what time it is. What are you doing? Why are you focusing on this? This doesn't even matter. And so you see all this beauty, you see all this growth, you see all this potential for this building of this light and coming together in community in a way that it serves everybody. There's so much beauty and bounty and harvest that wants to grow from it. You've already been cooking this, man. You've already been doing all the integration in the shadow. Your shadow time has moved to a place where you're just trying to figure out, like, okay, which seed do I need to plant here so I can really nurture it and it'll bear the fruit that I know it will bear. And you feel like you're really close to it. I feel like a lot of you feel very close to this. Like, I know there's something I'm supposed to do. I can sense it. I have sort of a feeling around it. I just don't know what it is exactly. And I know it's coming in, but when is it going to get here? And up to this point, it's felt very veiled from you, the future. Okay. And this is the problem, because the call to challenge here is self-mastery. It's about mastering alchemy, which means that you don't get to know. You don't get to know. This is about moving from a place of blind faith and trust. That if you follow your inspiration and what's lighting you up here, that thing that you try to conceal, or the thing you don't share because you're like, I don't know how other people will receive it. What will they think of me if I do this? That's exactly the thing that you need to be planting and nourishing right now. And what will come of it in the future, you don't know. Your future isn't guaranteed, but this is what you're being called to do right now. So do that thing, whatever it is. If you're not aware of it yet, it will be coming into view through this process. It involves community web weaving. This brings people together. It builds the light. It doesn't just influence you, it influences others. If you're like, I still don't have a clue, start with what you're doing online. Start with the comments you leave online. Start with the way you participate online. Start with the way you participate on social media, how you interact. And if you're a creator, start there. What are you putting out? What are you putting out? Are you feeding into the algorithm, or are you willing to break from that? Yeah, maybe if you follow your own rhythm, it may seem like, well, gee, I'm not getting progress. I'm not moving forward here. I'm not seeing the progression I want. It's taking a lot long. It doesn't matter, because what others can't see and they don't value now, they will in the future when the veil of illusion is lifted. Then the growth will be evident, do you see? Then it moves into that empress, emperor kind of energy. And for a lot of you, this is allegiance to an old way of doing things, an old way of living, an old status quo, an old template of what you thought it meant to be successful, or what you thought it meant to be rich, or what you thought it meant to have arrived. Okay? There's so much that wants to come out of you creatively. There's so much you have to share. The word wants to be written. The transformation comes through you sharing the message, and that message is your voice, however you choose to contribute it. We each have something to contribute of value. And this is why there's no need for competitive spirit, because we are all here to gift the world with something. That is our ashe. It is our purest essence. And we are meant to share our gifts with the world. And we're also meant to appreciate the gifts of others, because it also enriches us. And this is where that whole template of how you get to be successful completely gets dismantled. So I will tell you now, and mark my words, the people who seem right now like they're on the bottom, they're not getting anywhere, give it time. Give it time. Those tables will turn. And those who are resistant to the change will then have to dance to a new tune. All right? It's about innovative energy that's coming forward right now. A lot of you are messengers. A lot of you are writers. A lot of you are music makers. A lot of you are public speakers. A lot of you have something that you are meant to share. It's your voice. You're meant to bring it forward. It has a butterfly effect. It affects the many. It's not just about you, okay? And so you should explore this. It's the seed of your vision. Some of you are already aware of this, but you're sort of focusing on maybe more practical things, or more day-to-day challenges. And it's almost like it's this real like irony. It's like, no, by actually putting some attention on this is the thing that will give you the advancement in the material reality. It's actually your answer to getting through the other side of the storm and inviting the sun back in. But you're in this place of self-deception because you still haven't sort of like freed yourself from the illusion. You haven't freed yourself yet from the illusion that you can continue to maintain the status quo, because it's crumbling. It's the age of the Kali Yuga. And you're so afraid to just do what you love, or to love who you love. You're so afraid to just trust your own judgment because others cause you to question it all the time. So instead, you keep all your magic hidden inside of you. Instead of just taking the risk to be who you are, go ahead. Let your freak flag fly. Be eccentric. Break the norm. Let them talk. What does it matter? You're free. Don't live from this place where you just sort of toe the line. So, oh, well, at least then people accept me. At least I won't be judged. So I'm going to play it safe. Yeah. And then you're not really living and you're not fulfilling your purpose. And so you're always going to feel dissatisfied, right? You know, you're afraid to love. You're afraid to love because you're afraid of getting hurt. But love is love is love, you know? Even getting hurt doesn't transform love. Love requires you to be brave. And you think there's something wrong with your life or something wrong with where you're at, or it's not advancing quickly enough, or you're stuck and you don't have anything to show for it. And it's all a bunch of BS because it's all just brewing, getting ready to bloom from subterranean grounds. It's not seen yet, but look what grows from it. It's rooted. This is strong. It's like the redwoods, man. You know, this is something that's like legacy energy. It endures. It endures after you're gone. You can go ahead and breeze through life. You can be in it for the spoils of the moment if you want. If that's all you care about, if that's what you want your life to be. Oh, it looked good on Instagram. I lived a great life. It looks picture perfect. And really, in reality, it's an utter mess. And there's nothing but dissatisfaction, because even when you have all those things that you thought would make you happy, you realize they don't fill the emptiness inside. Purpose is what fills the emptiness inside. Passion for life, because you are engaged with your true purpose, is what builds meaning in life. And that's what this energy is. It's the activation of your legacy. Do you want to just breeze through, bobbing on the surface of life and have nothing to really show for it at the end? Because I don't care how much advancement you get materially. It doesn't go with you. But if you use your life in such a way that you leave an indelible mark, when you leave, you change something. You really contributed something. That's legacy energy. That's fulfilling your birthright. That's activating the dream that your ancestors dreamed, but never got to see it actually rooted in the material reality. And there's a lot of that bloodline energy coming through. So now I'm really curious, what is this energy here? Yes, see, spirals of manifestation, right? So it seems like we're moving through the dark. And this is where it gets a little tricky, right? Because you're moving through dark terrain. You have to remember that's when your test as an alchemist is at its peak, because when you're moving through circumstances that are mean and heavy, it's easy to become ensnared in that illusion. We know that wherever things are mean and heavy, there's also an equal measure of joy and lightness of being. Always. Both exist. So what current do you want to tap into? This isn't about ignoring or bypassing the difficult things you're going through, but it's about using them as fuel to challenge you to respond instead of react. As soon as you start responding to the challenges instead of getting really reactive, and when you catch yourself getting really reactive, if you're getting really anxious, or if you're popping off at people, or if you're feeling reckless, or you're wanting to get really impulsive and just, just screw it all, just burn it all, then oh no, I'm reactive. And if I move into this space, whatever this is, I'm going to manifest another destructive cycle. Or you can turn it into the upward spiral, lighten up the energy, okay? And go, all right, this is heavy, this is intense, but can I look that? Can I look that in the eyes? Can I look this beast of burden in the eyes? And can I ask myself, if this is challenging me, all right, the gift of empowerment on the other side must be pretty big. It must be at least in measure. So what could that potentially be? What is this presenting to me? What kind of challenge is it presenting to me on my path? And how can I rise to that challenge? Okay. So if you're encountering something that's making you feel really afraid, right? What it's doing is it's trying to spark in you a reason to be brave enough to just move through it, face it head on. Well, what is that thing that will make you brave enough? That's a key. What gives you bravery? This is a question. It's an inquiry. What gives you bravery? Think about it. No matter what you face, no, this makes me feel very brave. I can rise to whatever faces me for this thing. Okay? This is actually a very beautiful cycle, and it's going to teach you a lot about your ability to be the creator in your life and where you still have work to do, where you're still kind of caught up in old projections and old traumas and stuff that, you know, is only clogging up the channel of creativity. You'll learn the more you can be present and the more you can respond. All right, let's dive further into this. I want to get some really specific guidance for us. Yeah, see, we're on guard. When is the next fire coming around that I have to put out? I've already had so many arrows slung at me. How many more can I deal with here? You know, you don't have to man this post. Who told you to sit there and continue to take all that, you know? Is there an easier way, perhaps? Do you feel noble for staying here and tolerating this, you know? What part of you is being gratified by that? What part of you is that working for? Don't tell me it doesn't work for you on any level. It does. There's always some kind of payoff when we get engaged in dynamics like that. Maybe it does make you feel noble, or it makes you feel like you're the better person, you know, so you can judge that or see they're the problem. I'm the one who's doing this, and I'm long suffering, and I've stuck through this through thick and thin, and I've taken it on. You know, this can be martyr complex. This can be stuff you've learned, unhealthy patterns of behavior you learned in your growing up, you know, the authority figures around you, okay? This can also be just playing it too freaking safe. Like, stop playing it so safe. You're worried about getting a few bumps and bruises. For some of you, it's about moving into the initiation of love, into the temple of love. You're so scared. You're so scared. Oh, what if I get hurt? Well, there's always going to be that risk. Love will always have risk right in bed with it. You know, there's no separating the two. You can't truly love unless you're completely unguarded. You got to be vulnerable and open, but you understand the duality of things when you arrive at that place where you come into direct contact with how fierce and how powerful vulnerability is. Okay, so this journey has a lot to do with that. All right, let's see. What is the nature of the power that the collective needs to call back? What is the nature of the power that the collective needs to call back, Spirit? What is the nature of the power that the collective needs to call back, Spirit? Okay. Basis of the matter, to trust that you have strength to tackle what you couldn't tackle before. You already have the strength to overcome the challenges of the past. You are facing off with something that in your past you viewed it as a formidable enemy. Like, there's no way I can overcome this challenge. There's no way I can recover from this. There's no way I can get beyond this. This is Leo energy here. This is about, look at that, just firmly taking matters into your hands and facing it head on, that thing that you're so terrified of facing. Go ahead. Open up the jaws of the lion. You know, have a look inside the belly of the beast. What do you find? The way you felt back then is not where you're at now. It's not going to be encountered in the same way, but it's sort of like you're living out of a ghost of regret. And that regret is, I wish I would have handled it this way. I wish I would have shown up that way back then. Well, that was then. You can't do anything about that then, but you can now. You can embody the energy now, and you won't understand that you have the ability to do it until you just do it. So you have to face the fear. You know what I'm saying? You have to face the fear. This is something coming back around, maybe from 2008. It's something that you felt like you couldn't conquer back then. You didn't have the strength. At one time, this had you in its jaws, and you felt helpless. You know, you felt like you didn't have the power to overcome this, rise above this. You do now. Okay, you do now. And actually, you will if you apply yourself. And Spirit's like, yep, that's the truth. You have the power. It's in you. Look, it gives you keys. It gives you keys to freedom. It actually gives you 2 keys. And those keys are one door to lock the past and one door that opens up the way to the future for you. Right? This is recognizing you have the power, not an outside authority. This is calling your power back. This is the nature of the power you're calling back. The power that you've invested in outside authorities. This is about you understanding you have a direct link with the Creator. You are that. It's all one energy. You don't need this intermediary. You got a direct line. And this is about calling your power back from all those who told you that that wasn't true. Because that's the ultimate deception of separation. It's separated you from your creative power. A lot of you are calling power back from religious structures. A lot of you are calling power back from authority figures. A lot of you are calling back your power from perhaps a marriage or even an institution or even the powers that be. You may be looking at this from a real collective perspective. Those of you who are really like the rabble rousers of the world, you may be calling your power back from the authoritarian regime, okay? So this is the nature of the power we're calling back, okay? Where does the collective need to retrace their steps in order to recover this power? Because we do know we're also going over old ground. We had the same cycle blow through last fall. You'll probably have stuff that was coming up for you last fall, coming back around the bend again. Just be prepared for this, okay? So let's see what's coming in here for you all. What are the steps you need to retrace? Yeah, you need to recover the Holy Grail, that fulfillment that was promised to you. It is your birthright. It's what you're meant to share here that nourishes the many. It's the activation of spirit through you, okay? It is an inspiration coming in. It will be coming in soon. It's a gift, but it can only nurture if you actually take it in, if you partake of this cup that's filled for you. In nurturing you, it nurtures others, okay? So there's an opportunity here to bring forward some kind of creativity. Something you're going to create is going to be something that nourishes many others. And this creation, understand creation, it doesn't have to be the arts. Anytime you are using your actions, your free will to bring something into being, whether it's going to apply for a job, or whether it is cooking your family a meal, or whether it's improving your health, whatever it may be, whatever nurtures you, it nurtures others, because we have to make sure our cup's full first. So this is an opportunity coming in. It activates the creator within you. It also brings a gift of inspiration. There is some inspiration that comes through, like, this is what you're meant to do. And then it's about you trusting that, even if you have to stand alone initially, as it fulfills you, the transformation it creates in you and your life will be proof and evident enough. It will allow those who were naysayers to start going, wait a minute. Wow. Okay, maybe you're onto something. Okay. And then through that, you can start to build community. You know what I'm saying? Because then other people start to realize that maybe they should start, filling their cup too with really what does put them in that place of joy. Because I think of Ace of Cups, I think that state of joy, that state of personal fulfillment. So this is a new opportunity coming in. And it can be to recover a lost dream. So I feel like you need to retrace your steps to an old dream that, you know, it's something you lost in the past, but it may seem for some of you a childish thing, but it's meant to be activated right now, right? So this is a clue. It's a little bit of a treasure hunt here. Ooh. It's something that you sort of shelved because you couldn't take the rejection of sharing this and not having it well received. Like, it's something that's so personal to you and meaningful to you that you were shy about sharing it because you thought, well, what if there's a lot of criticism, or what if people put it down, or what if people judge me? Okay, that gives you a clue. It's something that you decided to, you know, give up on because you couldn't handle the proposition of having it rejected by others, or having them cast judgment on you, right? So you just gave it up, and you're being asked to ignite it now. Okay, you are being asked to ignite it now, to recover that dream, right? So look back. Where was this? Maybe you dealt with like a lot of people sort of like sneak dissing you, or putting you down, or making kind of like giving you backhanded compliments or something like this. You'll know what this is. You had some dream, and then because of sort of like people around you, people talking in your ear, or how you thought others were perceiving what you were offering, you harshly took on those judgments of yourself, and you shelved this dream, and you're meant to face that fear. So what if it gets rejected? So what if they don't understand it at first? It could be you're a little bit ahead of your time. Maybe it takes time for people to catch up. You're already on a different timeline. Okay, so whatever that is, that's where you need to retrace your steps, because there's a lot of keys there for you that will help start to open up some of those doors that are currently locked. And you may have to go back a ways, all right? You may have to go back a ways. Who holds the key to the collective's empowerment, all right? I mean, we already know you really do hold that key, but I want to know where you think, you know, the power is in another's hands when it's actually yours, okay? So you may need to face this this challenger down in order to take back your key. You know what I'm saying? So let's see what this is. Who holds the key to your empowerment? Who holds the key to your empowerment, collective? 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 You hold all the keys of the kingdom within you. See, but you've been living from this lack mindset. You're still remembering a time when maybe you took a big fall, or maybe you're feeling like that now. Maybe you feel like you've been cast aside, or you feel like you're just sort of wandering in a strange land. It's making me think of the wanderer in the I Ching for some reason, about how when you're traveling through unfamiliar territory, it's very important to remember to honor the customs of the land. But even as you're honoring the customs of the land, never lose sight of your own essential nature. But it is important at the same time to sort of mind the territory that you're moving through. That can also prevent a lot of further obstacles on the path. So that's a clue to some of you. Some of you may be on another person's ground, okay, so to speak. Some of you may be in another person's territory, so to speak. This can be coming up in relationships. This can be coming up in business pursuits. This can be coming up in a living situation. This can be coming up in an area of expertise. This can be coming up in an area of exploration, spiritual understanding. In some way here, you feel a sense of lacking or insufficiency, or perhaps you think, I don't have what I need to get where I want to go or to activate that dream. That's also part of why I put it on the shelf, right? But it's very clear here. It's coming through so strongly. It's like, no, all the keys of the kingdom are within you. What you want to see out there, it first has to be created within you. So if you feel inadequate, if you feel like you're lacking, if you feel like you're not good enough, that's why you have to start unraveling that stuff first. And a lot of people will say, well, that's not practical. This is an immediate concern. Well, true. Okay. But if you're doing all the practical things and you're taking all the practical steps and you're still not seeing progress and nothing's shifting, you have to look at it as an issue of self-mastery, because there's something in your internal programming that's running amok. It's causing mischief and play. So this is understanding that you already have everything you need to activate this material, tangible key you need. I do feel like a lot of you need something material to present itself. Show me the money, or show me the door of opportunity, or give me the call back, or let me have that conversation with that person. Let us cross paths, or it could be any nature of things, all right? But you first have to generate it within yourself, all right? You have to get out of your own way, so to speak, start unraveling those beliefs, because it's time to rise and shine. Judgment, Libra energy coming in here. We also have Earth sign energy, Taurus energy coming in pretty strongly, which makes sense to me because this is talking about our values. Our values, also what we determine to have value, what we feel has worth, and how that lines up in what we're seeing created in our external reality. Okay, so this is sort of like doing a little internal review too, to arrive at a truth. Once you arrive at a truth, at a core truth, you won't feel this sense of imbalance, right? You won't feel like you're star-crossed. You won't feel like you're always missing the boat, or your manifestations are always out of balance, or there's always some inequity of power here, or you're always struggling to just sort of make ends meet or bring something into some semblance of stability in your life, right? If you're feeling like that, there's a core truth you're not acting on. It should provide a clue to you, okay? You hold the key to your empowerment, nothing else. It's not if this lines up to me, then I'll be empowered. It's not if I get this opportunity, then I'll be empowered. Then I'll have what I need to move forward. No, it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter where you got. It doesn't matter what's going on. There's always a way to move forward. All you need to do is take one step. So don't be unrealistic. You do need to root it in material reality for you to start to buy into it. So you say, okay, I don't got any money right now, but I need to make a change that requires me to have enough money to make this change. So what am I going to do? Okay, well, you could start like looking into some side gigs. You could start putting yourself and your services out there. You could look for a new job, okay? And if you've done all those things and still nothing's coming through, well, then you can start maybe exploring different options. Maybe you can look into schooling. Maybe, you know what I'm saying? There's always something, all right? There's always something. It's just you haven't hit upon that something yet. The inspiration is yet to be received, but it will. There is a call coming in. There is going to be something that comes in that's like, are you going to answer the call or not? That will arrive. But it will require you to step out of like your old identity, and you're going to have to be brave and rise to the challenge. All right. You hold the key, nobody else. You got to remember that. Anytime you think, well, I can't do that because this person is not allowing me to do that, or they're blocking my ability to do that. Maybe I'm working with them, but they don't hold the key to your power. You hold the key to your empowerment. Right? What change are you being asked to make, collective? What change is Spirit asking you to make, collective? Let's get real specific here. What is the change that Spirit is asking you to make at this time in order to face Pluto's challenge? What is the change that Spirit's asking you to make at this time? You get y'all as many keys as I can here. You already know. That's what the High Priestess is. You already know. You already know. You already know it, and you're sitting on it, and you're not doing anything about it. What's the change? See the pomegranates behind her? That Persephone energy? To rise. To face what you know you need to face for transformation is the basis of the matter. For this to show up, it says you already know. And if you think you don't know, it would really help to do more internal reflection, because there's something subconsciously going on here that is running the show and making you believe you don't already know what this is, but you do. You're bypassing it, or in some way disassociating yourself from it. And it's the very thing you need to pull in closer to you. Where you feel discomfort, you need to actually pull what's uncomfortable closer to you, because that's where all the mana is. That's where you'll get your insights, all right? I know it's a lot, but it is what it is, man. Let's see, what is this change? Free yourself. Stop it. You already know what you need to do. So stop pretending you don't know what you need to do, even as you're peeking out under that blindfold and you got these, like, you have this toilet paper wrapped around you like it's some binding tie. It's not. Like, break on through the other side. Get, cut through the crap, man. You're as free as soon as you decide to be. Right? You're as free as soon as you decide to be. And then you'll be on the path of heart here. You'll be on the path. You'll take that Ace of Cups, you see? You allowed yourself to partake of that Holy Grail. Then you'll be on the path of heart. You'll have the courage and the bravery to keep finding the way through. And that's how you know if somebody really is invested in something that's part of their purpose, because no matter how many obstacles get thrown in their path, or how many people tell them they can't do it, or how many times they deal with being put down, or how many doors of rejection they have slammed in their face, they don't stop. It's a compulsion. That's how you're in alignment with your true purpose. And you may not have had that point of awakening yet, but it is coming. So the best thing you can do to ready yourself for it is sort of ask yourself, where do I have like sort of a lack mentality, or where do I have like a worst case scenario mentality? And can I sort of start changing that a little bit? Can I start changing my beliefs? What if I just experiment and try, on a different belief for size? Like, let's say, for example, okay, let's just use this. Let's say the color green, okay, I've run in the color green before. Let's say you have a belief. The color green looks really ugly on me. Okay, I challenge you to see if that's really true. Why don't you really put it to the test and put on a green item, okay? And for a day, go out in the world and just challenge it and see what does the world reflect back at you. If you question your belief, if you're like, green doesn't look ugly on me, where did I feel like green looks ugly on me? Where did I get that perception? Was it maybe something somebody said to you one time, or did you really dig somebody and they hated the color green, so you just sort of like adopted that belief? Oh yeah, screw green. Green's a horrible color, okay? Whatever it may be. Just see, could I be wrong? And then do a little experiment. Play with life. Mischief and play. Play with life a little bit. Put on something green and tell life, okay, I'm willing to accept. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I look amazing in green. Maybe it's just not easy being green, but I might look amazing being green. And I just like got this, BS in my head telling me I look horrible in green. Let's put it to the test. You tell me what the truth is. Show me, is it true, life? Show me what's true. Show me, teach me. Teach me by what greets me on my path. I'm open. I'm open to having that belief dismantled. I'm open to getting a new perspective. I'm open. Does green look good on me? Have I been wrong all along? And then watch what happens. And it brings playfulness. You know what I'm saying? It gets out a little of the heaviness of the swords too. It's like, ugh. Sometimes it can be too analytical, and I'm seeing that like that water energy and that earth energy. It's like, yeah, you need some heart, you need some passion, you need some enthusiasm in order to make things grow, okay? In order to make things grow. So bring in a little bit of that kind of energy, but you got to free yourself here, right? All right, why is the collective resisting doing this necessary work? Oh, it takes too long. It's drudgery. It's work. It's boring. Too much mischief in play. Not enough brass tacks. All right, there's a balance, okay? Practicalities. You can't live in a fantasy world, okay? So there is that too. And it's also like, could you just pick a seed to plant here already? Remember, you already have it. You have it in your hands. You have the key to your empowerment. You're not taking any steps, though, to make it happen. None. You haven't done one darn thing. All you've done is talk about it, tell everybody, someday I'm going to do this. And you're not doing anything to make it a reality. And so you don't see anything happening, okay? So again, what is going to move the energy? You have to take an action. And yes, it's not all fun and games. Sometimes we do have to really look at the structure of things. Sometimes we have to do things that we don't want to do in order to make something we really want possible. So how can you sort of like whistle while you work? How can you add a little enthusiasm into what seems sort of like humdrum, mundane, a chore? Because like it or not, we got to do these chores if we hope to have something really worthy of investing in, planting, nurturing here. But do you see, if you just take the action, there's the progression of the energy. A lot of you need to look at just practicalities and the boring stuff. Like, how can I get on a better schedule? Where am I dropping the ball? Where am I being too hedonistic and I'm not really looking at things that may seem like, I don't want to focus on that. That's lame. But, how can you get better sleep? Maybe how can you better support your body with the way you're caring for your body, How can you make things a little bit more organized so you don't feel like your energy's scattered all the time? This is practical stuff here that will be extremely helpful. Earth sign energy coming in there. Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn. All right. You're resisting it because it's not fun. Well, this sounds so parental, so authoritarian. Life's not always about having fun. And y'all are out there fighting for your right to party, but it's like, we got some real shit we got to deal with right now. So you got to be realistic too, okay? You got to be realistic too. There'll be time for the celebration, right? It's not that time right now yet, right? You just got the cut. There ain't your soulmates showing up who are ready to, toast with you. So there's people you need to come into alignment with. There's projects you need to kick off. There's things you need to get organized. There's the basic, necessity of taking care of your health, mind, body, spirit, and the practical concerns that are the foundation that you need to put in place. And then there can be the celebration, okay? It's not like just reaching your hand into a goodie bag and it's all, lollipops and rainbows and unicorns. It's just not. But there will be time for that. You know, there's time for that too. This is about having a little bit more of a coming down to earth moment, okay? Being realistic, also understanding that a lot of what's sort of like shown to us, like, oh, people just have these amazing things happen to them all the time. Understand a lot of it is smoke and mirrors. A lot of it's fake. A lot of it's put on for show. And overnight successes in any area of life are extremely rare. There's usually a lot of missteps. There's usually a lot of losses. There's usually a lot of hard lessons learned before somebody really hits the mark and arrives at that place where they're like, yeah, I made it. Whatever that looks like to them, like, I made it into a healthy relationship after tons of relationship cycles with people who just couldn't seem to understand that I have worth. You know, they didn't see me. They didn't acknowledge the real me. Or this could be in terms of, the kind of work you've been doing, sticking to something that's boring you crazy, and it really isn't giving you any kind of forward progression because you're just mired down. There's a ceiling and you can only go so far. And so automatically it limits the possibilities for you and saying, you know what, screw that. I may have to continue to stay at this job, but I'm going to plant a seed of something I want to create for myself. And maybe it seems like it's a little slow going at first, but it's growing. It's growing. It will grow into what you want it to be. You may find challenges. When you experience challenges, those challenges are there to hone you. They're there to help you figure out. They're there to help. They're there to show you something you need to refine, some way that you need to innovate, a particular approach, some different aspect of yourself that's sort of creating a glitch and is not letting this manifestation come through in the way you want. And as you start experimenting with it, yeah, look at that. You get the key. It goes from the 8, okay, to the 10 of Pentacles, legacy energy. And for a lot of you, this is about the work. And it's understanding that your work in terms of the material work, the material reward is also a direct reflection about the work on oneself. And this is about crafting the future, okay? It's about crafting the future and honing your craft in all aspects, all right? Your craft of communication, your craft of listening. More need to focus on that. Whatever your craft is, that cachet, that creative contribution you have to offer, the work you do, the meaning it has. There's something here that does transform, and that is the transformation of that, double energy, not staying small, but an understanding that when you reach this level of, taking the craft and doing it for the sake of doing it because it's what you love. It's usually when we're aligned with what we love and we're putting the work into it, the results may not be instantaneous, but it leads here. And you keep pouring into it because it fulfills you. So this is what you're meant to align with right now. All right. And it takes work to get there. Right? It does take work to get there. And it's not going to be like overnight. I mean, sometimes that happens for people. It's very rare, right? And usually those people already have certain advantages. They have an in, they know somebody. I mean, we've talked about this before. Where are you needing to get a different view? Where are you needing to look through a different window in the grid so you can have a different understanding? Remove the blind spot. See something you can't see right now. Where are you needing to get a different view? Where are you needing to get a different view, collective? Where are you needing to get a different view, collective? Yeah, you're so hell-bent on advancing as quickly as possible that you rush in where angels fear to tread. and it makes a colossal mess of things. This is not about being quick to like pop off or quick to move recklessly because there's a sense of desperation. That's not the way to get free. Reaction will actually really hold you back. The more you react to situations and you don't respond, the more you're moving out of the distorted, dark quality, okay? And that's always going to create a reflection in your outer reality that gives you more to sort of like more BS to cut through, okay? And it's what's holding you up. It doesn't move you forward. You may think it'll move you forward, but sometimes this is really about taking a moment to really ponder, okay? Before you plant the seed, just take a moment. I know how I've moved in the past. I know I've kind of been a bit impulsive in the past. How can I really lay a better foundation in planting this seed for my future, right? Interesting. Okay. Where is the collective needing to get a different view through a different window in the grid so they can eliminate their blind spot? Where does the collective need to get a different view through another window in the grid in order to eliminate their blind spot and have more understanding about what's being required of them right now? Where is the collective needing to get a view through a different window in the grid in order to eliminate their blind spot? Of course, the blind spot lands face down on the floor. It's like, oh yeah, we got that one buried. Oh. See, the problem is you're at odds with another. You want them to have your view, or you want a situation to be other than the way it actually is. And so you keep struggling to get this thing to even out. So there can be like this seen eye to eye, or there can be this mutual understanding of one another's truth or perspective, or where the emotions feel like, there's a mutual giving and receiving. But the problem is that you're not finding this within yourself first. If you expect to have some kind of balance in a situation, or if you expect to find some kind of balance in a relationship, or if you expect to find some kind of balance in terms of reward for the work you do, you first have to address finding that balance within yourself. Because if you are moving out of a place of reactiveness and scrambling for control, or scrambling to balance something out, or getting somebody on the same page as you, or to see things the same way as you, there is no way to balance this out at all. And where you are trying to balance something out in that regard, where you're in negotiations with another, and you both see something very different, and you both feel like the dynamic or the situation is unfair, and that can be in any kind of situation, romantically, work-wise, family dynamic, group dynamic, friend circle, okay? This is about trying it on for size 2. Like, allow yourself to sort of go into that place where you maybe really allow yourself to look through the other's eyes and ask, well, how would I feel seeing it from their perspective? Because you do have to understand that whatever this is here, it's their truth. It's their truth, at least how they see it right now. But usually we can get sort of like a broader perspective of the truth if we're willing to sort of put ourselves in another's shoes, look at it from their vantage point, especially if we have no familiarity in their terrain, like with their experiences or the background they come from, or if we're in an unfamiliar situation. Remember, if you're in an unfamiliar situation, if you are the wanderer, then it's necessary to pay attention to the customs. So when I think of that, I think it is about expecting that where you challenge another's truth and you're on their terrain, so to speak, okay, you do need to expect that it's going to create imbalance. And this isn't about being false. It's simply about not being reactive to what their truth is. And you have a choice. You can, acquiesce and you can comply to the customs, or you can find the place where you belong. And there's something here you're really struggling to bring into balance. You've been working really hard to bring something into balance, when it might be better if you just, I don't know, dropped it. Just saying. What if you just dropped it? What if you stopped trying to bring something into balance? What if you just stopped trying to fix something? What if you just let it be broken? What if you accept that it's broken? Sometimes that's the thing that like springs the lock. It's like, okay, it's broken. And then we learn a lot in that process too. See, sometimes this is a clever way we try to control things too. We try to control things like fixing. I got to fix it. No, sometimes things are made to be broken. They're broken because it breaks something open, a road, a perspective, an emotion, the heart breaking open, okay? Just drop it. It's that easy. Just drop it. If you drop it, right? If you're juggling balls, if you drop both balls, well, that's even. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're trying to take too much responsibility for what's not yours to hold. It's like trying to take responsibility for your experience and another's experience instead of just accepting their experience is different from mine. And we are in two totally different places about this emotionally. And that's what's causing us to be like two ships passing in the night, or that's what's causing this situation, this opportunity that I want, or this dream I've been trying to bring into being from just sort of like passing me by. But maybe if I stop trying to fix it, if I can sit in what's really uncomfortable for a minute and just be curious about it, inquisitive, like, okay. Well, even when something's broken, it can be put back together creatively in a new way, or the parts of it, the aspects of it, the pieces that do have value that did provide some kind of enrichment, usually lessons we learned or wisdom gained. These things can be put together in a new way too. They can create something entirely new. It doesn't even have anything to do with this person, this situation, this argument, whatever it is. And you realize, oh, that needed to happen so that there could be the way through the avenue to bring into being what I'm really supposed to be bringing into being. We all have those moments where we realize that was the catalyst point. If that wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't have done this. And then there's no way this would have come into being, okay? So a lot of you, where you need to get a different view is stop trying to bring something into balance. Stop feeling like you're responsible for fixing it. You're not. You can only be in charge of, addressing what you need to address. Stop keeping an eye on how others are doing their work, or, whether or not they're doing what they need to do to evolve. This is about you moving accordingly. Moving according to what you feel is true for you. Go ahead, act on your truth, live by your truth. But that doesn't require somebody else has to go along for the ride. And it doesn't mean they have to agree with you. And if they're not in agreement with you about your choices and this trail you want to blaze, well, there's no changing their mind. What if you just dropped it? Okay, it's okay. You don't have to agree with it. I'm cool with that. I can't tell you how many times I've been in a situation where there's been like somebody trying to start an argument with me. And I'm really open-minded. I do have a broad perspective, and I already recognize, like, just because somebody's truth doesn't match my own doesn't mean it's not true for them. But I also know it's not absolute truth. I know we all have this little t truth that we're highly invested in, that our ego is highly invested in. And truth, absolute truth transcends all of that. And so I'm able to look at things from that perspective, and somebody will tell me something. I'll be like, okay, well, I get it. That's how you see it, and I'm not going to argue you about it. I mean, that's the way you see it. It is what it is. And yeah, okay, cool. Well, this is what I believe. And I don't expect you to believe it. And I'm not going to try to change your mind about where you're at. You'd be amazed how quickly it shuts down an argument. It's like, it's acceptance, man. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. What is the first step you need to take, collective, to move out of the crossroads so the road can rise up to meet you and you can actually see progress on the path? So you can see forward momentum, right? And you realize, wait a minute, I do have more power in my hands than I thought. All right. What is the first step you need to take to get out of the crossroads, collective? What is the first step you need to take? Lay down the burden. Stop carrying what's not yours to carry. You've taken on too much that's not yours to carry, and it's time to lighten your load. You're going to move forward a lot faster the more you drop the things that you've taken on that are not yours to carry, or that you don't want to carry, or maybe you were carrying them at one time, but it no longer is right for you, is not what your path is about. And this is what helps you to get out of the crossroads. Okay, you finally find the way through. And where you once had blockage, okay, and no way to move forward, through self-reflection and cutting through the illusion and the blocks within the self, you will find a lot of possibilities and options opening up for you. And this is when you start to head into that creative manifestation phase, right? There's a need to cut through this illusion, though, and you might need to cut yourself free by just agreeing to disagree. Okay, we don't see the things the same way. I'm not going to take on what I don't want to carry anymore. I trust that, you're going in a direction that's in alignment with your truth. I'm going to do the same. And then all of a sudden, options open up for you, as well as a hidden gift of empowerment that you can't see right now, that will be that holy grail that pours into you and fulfills you, okay? So yeah, this looks like a lot of stuff you need to drop. So I was saying the thing that would be best to begin with is look at what is really burdensome to you in your life. What is weighing you down? What is stressing you out? What is not fulfilling you? Okay. What feels unfair to you? What feels like it's too much, and then ask yourself about each of those things. What is one little thing I can start to do different to start to move that energy? Where can I lighten it up? For some of you, it's as simple as just, facing the fear of somebody being displeased with you because you call them up and say, you know what, I know that I said that I was going to do that, but I've really been thinking about it and I already got a lot on my plate. And I apologize for agreeing to it without really sitting with it and thinking about it and giving myself time to respond. But it's just too much. I'm going to have to put this down. I apologize, and call it good. You'll feel so much better after that. This is also a clue about when people come to you and they have things that they want you to take on and do for them, and you're already trying to navigate a lot in your life and you're feeling burdened. This is about you speaking up to that and laying down a healthy boundary line by not being so quick and impulsive to answer because you feel like, I got to act right now, or somebody's putting pressure on you. But instead say, let me think about that and I'll get back to you. And give them a time frame. Don't be unreasonable, okay? Let me think about that. I'll get back to you in 3 days, okay? And if that's not good enough for them, then maybe that's not right for you. And maybe you should trust that input, let it pass you by. Because if it's something that you're already considering that it's burdensome, chances are you already don't want to take it on. But you're just so used to acquiescing to keep the peace. in order not to have to sort of like face the fear and face what you know are unhealthy patterns of relating and unhealthy patterns of moving through the world, and just your own self-image, what you view is, you know, your place in life, all this, okay? It's unraveling all of that. And what it can do is, even though you already know you don't want to take it on, by saying that, it can move you out of the place of reactiveness, and it can give you a little breathing room to be like, okay, how do I want to respond to this? Because when you're first learning to, you know, let things go and put down boundaries, it can be uncomfortable terrain. So this gives you some space to sort of like bolster yourself and get yourself ready. It really does start to change things. It really does, I have to say, okay? But this is what it is for a lot of you. You got to start letting go of things, putting things down that are a burden to you, okay? Things that are really stressing you out. You got to figure out how you can lighten that load. And one by one, just making a little shift, a little shift, a little shift, and stop taking on what you don't want to take on, right? Okay. How can the collective, oh, look at that. That will bring some kind of big success. Look at that. Advancement, success. You pass the test. Pluto's pleased, okay? There's rewards that come with that. There is a gift of empowerment. We'll see what that is in a minute. How does the collective need to follow through? Because it's great to set something in motion, but a lot of times people do a little bit and then they, you know, toss it aside. It doesn't get done. You got to stay focused on the light you're building in your life. You got to cast away the shadow and let all your focus be on this destination you want to head to, this happiness, the dream you want to bring into being, you know, and really fueling that by letting that be what you're focusing on. Not the heaviness you've been through, not what's held you back, but the possibility of what could happen if you really applied yourself and started to take action, stepping into your power and actually moving in the direction of your true happiness. And for a lot of you, it is about recovering a dream. And some of you, a dream from childhood is being recovered now, right? It's really interesting energy coming through with that. Yeah, it was something you felt really guarded about sharing in the past. It was something you kept to yourself. It could even be an aspect of yourself that you've been kind of keeping under lock and key, and it's time to like bust loose. It's time to really step into this now and stop guarding it. It's meant to be shared. That's how it's coming through. How can you best support yourself through the process, collective? How can you best support yourself through the process, collective? How can you best support yourself through the process, collective? How can you best support yourself through the process, collective? And if you're dealing with really challenging circumstances and you're telling yourself, it's so hard for me to focus on the positive though, when I'm just quite actually wading through this shit here, like how am I supposed to feel positive about that? It's not about that, okay? But it's about not being fatalistic either, okay? So if you're going through a lot of stuff, you got a lot of crap coming at you, just say, look, I know it's difficult now, but you know, it takes some shit to make the flowers grow. And this may be humble beginnings, and I may be really challenged right now, but I've been through a lot in my past too. And I was able to overcome it. And I'm going to overcome this too. And I'm staying focused on where I want to go. And I can't worry about what happened back there. And I can't worry about what's going to come. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus on what can I do right now to improve this situation? Well, maybe I can like get out the pooper scooper. I can start cleaning up some of this shit. I can be letting some of that shit go, you know, it's that, right? Because no, it's not about deluding yourself or affirming it away. It's not about that. It's about being realistic, but having, you know, a proper perspective of it, not being, you know, overly unreasonable and delusional. Oh, it's so wonderful right now. Because your higher self will never believe it. You're highly intelligent. Don't BS me. It ain't wonderful right now, okay? But it is about, you know, having a view that's balanced in perspective. Take the shadow, take the light, See, how can there be some light extracted from this shadow? What is this cultivating in me? This challenge is coming onto my path to help me rise to it, because there's some quality, there's an empowerment I'll get from that that will support me in my dream. It's a key. Okay. So it's like work ethic stuff, I have to say. And look, it brings about beautiful alignment. It brings a celebration. It brings the homecoming. Okay. So this does arrive if you follow through, but only if you follow through. Right. How can the collective best support themselves through this process? Any more details about that? Just want to get one more on that, because I think that's a key piece. I also think, get outside, have some fun. When it gets real heavy, blow off some steam. Okay. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? By focusing on the healing and recognizing that as you heal yourself, there's others that are healed too. It's like it's a collaborative effort we got going on here. That's the caduceus. There's transformation happening here. There's also something creative in the works. You are creating your new life by how you're showing up in the present. So this is probably the most powerful way you can shift into the creative space where you activate the creator within, is that anytime you find yourself sort of like ruminating on the past and you're getting a little overly nostalgic, just gently like say, okay, come back here. Enough time there. What's going on right now? What should we do right now? And if you feel like, no, I really need to integrate the past, I need to feel more of this, it's part of my healing process, my emotional process. Okay, take it for a walk. Take it for a hike. Don't just wallow in it. Work with the energy. Paint it out. Dance it out. Let something rise up out of that process that transmutes that energy and brings something that shows what's possible when we take the risk to really consider how can I get a higher perspective here? How can I get a different view in this situation? How can I release the energy in a new way instead of just sitting there, feeling bummed out and frustrated about it and engaging in different numbing out techniques that really are only keeping me more stuck. It's not allowing the energy to transform. And for some of you, I have to say, with this partnership energy here too, it could be like maybe go and get some counseling, or look into different types of counseling too. You don't have to look at traditional counseling. You could get spiritual counseling. You could go and get yourself a reading, or you could study the cards yourself and learn more about yourself. Or this could be, working with somebody that can kind of help support you in the process in some way. This can be looking at a new approach in health as well that helps shore up support when you're going through times of crisis or you're integrating really heavy stuff. You want to be mindful of really tending to mind, body, spirit as you move through. So some of you may need a little additional support. You may need to call on support. Also, understand that if you are needing support, if you're like, this is too much for me, I just need a little support here, ask for it. Some of you feel really vulnerable about asking for support or asking for help because you feel like you'll be turned away, or you're highly invested in a particular image. Maybe you've always been the strong one and you might really need to lean on somebody right now, right? There are people that will meet you in that space, and there are people that will hold that space, okay? I think that's important. All right, one final card. Ooh, look at that, the Emperor. I love that. Beautiful energy, okay? So yes, there is some kind of support here. And there's also strength here for you to really activate your destiny and rise up out of that South Node energy into this future that you're meant to actualize. There is empowerment here. This is actually taking action. It's like the Emperor is coming through as the basis of the matter to say, if you want to experience the transformation and the empowerment, you have to take action, because that's what the masculine does. The masculine creates the avenue for the creative force to come through. So I think about that. I think what you have to do right now is a lot of road opening. So yeah, spiritual cleansing baths, emotional cleansing, releasing the clutter, you know, the mental clutter, the physical clutter. If you're carrying around too much weight or you're dealing with a multitude of health problems that you're not addressing, well, you need to address that. You need energy to make change. Clutter in your environment that's tying you to different times and places and things that just quite frankly bog your energy down. The more that you take practical action steps, things will become clearer, clearer, and clearer. And that creates movement, and it creates space for new energies to come in. And so there's something here about, there's no just like sitting around thinking about something anymore, trying to figure it out or expecting that some miracle is going to come through. I mean, sometimes it does. If it does for you, congratulations, but it's not the way it works for most people. Okay? Allow yourself to just start moving things from a place of taking action in your life. This is what moves you into your empowerment. And also not expecting that somebody else holds your keys. You do. You hold the keys to your empowerment. All the keys of the kingdom are within you, okay? So let's see what this gift of empowerment is for you. I mean, right there with Emperor, it's recovering your power, calling all of your power back, and being the authority in your life, okay? It's also when you move forward, you won't be moving forward with all these troubles with you. You need to leave these swords at that South Node. Where you're going, you're not taking the suffering forward with you. Look at that, how it comes out again. Because this is a time for you to be poured into, but you have to be open to receiving. And you can't receive if you're trying to control things, and if you're grasping at things, and if you're all blocked up inside, and if you're guarded. You can't receive. And if you never ask for support, you can't receive. Okay, so this is about opening up to receive, because there is a gift coming in here to empower you. What is this gift of empowerment that is coming in for the collective? What is this gift of empowerment that's coming in for the collective? Wow. Okay, shut the front door, man. Ace of Wands. I love it. Take the action, okay? And if you're like, well, I don't know, it just doesn't seem like it's the action. Stop. Just take the action. You'll know it, okay? Any little step, it counts. It will lead to more momentum. This is how you're going to find the way through. Where you arrive is beautiful. It's total alignment. Look at that too. There's somebody there to share it with you, and there's mutual appreciation. Right? It is the quintessential arrival point at the end of the quest, where you're at the tavern, you know, you're toasting with your friends. You're like, we did it. We made it. Okay. So this is really good energy. Stay true to the path. And most of all, stay true to the truth of who you are and your heart. And you'll find the way through.